Hello BookCon Book Club, I am Marissa Meyer and I want to start this video by saying thank you for choosing Renegades as your first ever book club pick. That's a huge honor and I really hope that you guys enjoyed reading it. So I have received a handful of questions from your readers that I'm going to try my best to answer for you today. So the first question comes from Lorraine98 on Instagram. Hello, Lorraine. And they ask, what made you decide to write a book about people with special powers? And she adds, I love superhero and villain stories, and when I found out the plot of Renegades, I was so excited I had a little dance party. Well, thank you, Lorraine. Always proud to inspire a dance party. What made me want to write about superheroes and supervillains? Honestly, I, like you, love this genre, and I have since I can remember. So when I was a little kid, I remember sneaking into my brother's room and stealing his X-Men comic books, and that was kind of my first introduction to stories of people with extraordinary powers, and it is such a vicarious fantasy. Everybody wants to have superpowers. We all love the idea that we could not only be extraordinary in some way, but also have the power to seek justice and protect the innocent and save the world. So that's definitely something that I have loved in other stories, from X-Men to Sailor Moon to Spider-Man and the Avengers, and oh, so many wonderful things. So I was really excited to be able to write my own story in this genre and kind of put my own spin on it. Let's see, our next question is from Leanna Troy on Twitter, and she asks, how did you decide on the philosophies of the anarchists versus the renegades? It was really interesting to read about. Well, the renegades were sort of easy to come up with their overall philosophy because I really wanted them to have a traditional superhero vibe to them where they are all about saving the people and protecting the innocent. And you'll see it kind of developed more in the second book that's coming out later this year, where for them it's much more about protecting people than it is always catching the bad guy, which is of course how Adrian and some of the vigilantes in the story kind of start to diverge from the renegades because they want to see justice served, which is not always the priority in the organization. The anarchists were a little bit more difficult to figure out because I did want them to have sympathetic motives. I didn't want them to just be villainous for the sake of villainous. And so I actually did a lot of research on anarchy and how, you know, throughout history there have been groups who believe in an anarchist way of life. And I tried to get into their heads and find out what is it about anarchy and not having a government, not having anyone who kind of has a say over your life and your decisions, and what is the appeal to that, and what does that actually look like when it's put into play in a society. And then I just kind of started to build on that from there.